Good old setup. Today is Mid-Autumn Festival. Mid-Autumn Festival. Mid-Autumn Festival. 中秋节 in Chinese. That's how we say 中秋节. I might be a little bit weird when I speak Chinese, but 中秋节. Do I talk weird? No. That is Mandarin there for you. And 中秋节's direct translation into English would be Mid-Autumn Festival. It's quite accurate of a translation. So this is a festival traditionally celebrated to bring family members together. It's about family value. It's about guys and girls and their parents, grandparents, and relatives all get together, and they all do things together for one day. And if I'm not mistaken here, the moon on this day is always, because it fluctuates every year, it's based on the lunar calendar. So it's different date on the Gregorian calendar every year. But on the Chinese calendar or the lunar calendar, based on the moon's movement, it's always fixed. And that means every year on this date, on this festival, we're going to have a full moon. And there's an old saying that I was reminded by my parents today, that there's an old saying goes like this: 15不圆16圆. Translation would be, if it's not round on 15th, it's round on 16th. That refers to the moon we're talking about here. So if the moon is not fully round on 15th, it is supposed to be on 16th. It's supposed to be round on 16th. You see, like our ancestors are more chill than us. It's not fixed. If it's not on this day, well, tomorrow it will be better. So yeah, we enjoy watching moons that is round. It symbolize family union. It symbolize the circle of life, I guess, continuation, lineage, all those good stuff. And family get together. What do? They eat moon cake. It's all about moon on this day. They eat moon cake, which is how do I describe moon cake? It doesn't look like moon. It's like a bakery that has a external layer that is made of wheat, I believe. It's baked in oven, and inside you can have all sorts of savory or sweet filling. Sweet, most of the cases. Bean curd made of red beans, sweetened a lot with sugar, very sweet. Or you can have egg yolk, which is also sweet. You can have a bunch of other stuff, but the one that I'm most familiar with are egg yolk, and bean curd made of red beans. I love the bean curd stuff. Like, they put it in a lot of different stuff, like in buns. I like that. It's hot. It's served hot. But moon cake is always served cold because it's pre-prepared in the oven. And when it come out, the outside is crispy. I believe the one that I'm referring to right now is from more of a southern area of China. And they prepare it a certain way. And the outside looks smooth and it's golden. And it does kind of look like a moon if you don't put a lot of decoration on top. But they normally do, because there's like engraving on top. Normally says something in Chinese, and there's like all kinds of details. So they poured that thing into a mold and made it that way. But yeah, I guess like overall you can say it looks like a moon in some way if you just ignore all the details like engraving on top. And then there's like another style of mooncake that is kind of crispy outside, so it reminds me of a croissant, if that makes sense. It's flaky on the surface. You still bake it, but they use different styles. So the surface layer, the wheat layer, or whatever they made it with, like it's layered and it's flaky. And I think more often they can be served warm instead of being cold. I have never tried that one that often, even though it's actually supposed to be from my area in the middle of China, from Suzhou, I believe. Sushi, they call it. Maybe it's from Jiangsu province, or maybe it's just from Suzhou, specifically that city. I couldn't be sure. It could be totally something else. But yeah, it's they call it Su style mooncake. I've never been a good fan of it. I've never been a big fan of it. It's just not my taste. I never like the crumpy part on my lip. I don't like the mess whenever you bite into it. It's just like all the flakes fall on the ground and you have to. I'm not that. I'm not about that. No. I like the mooncake from the southern part of the China. Southern part of the China. From southern part of China is more smooth. The texture is more dense and al dente and yeah, sweeter. So sweeter too. So I ate meaningly the bean curd filling one and the egg yolk one growing up. Did I have a lot? Reasonable amount. I wouldn't say a lot. A lot is like some people they could go like they could go crazy and have like a bunch, a dozen of them in one sitting. But I can. I like this thing is not small. This thing is about so this size. It's like the palm size. You can go palm size. Obviously, it can be a way smaller, but the one I remember are like my palm size. But be reminded, my palm was way smaller back then because I was a kid. So that felt a little bit bigger. So if it's a grown ass man, I would say like half a palm size is a good size mooncake. And I could have maybe two of them in one sitting. I wouldn't have more. And I remember being super picky about it. Like I wouldn't eat the one that I don't like. I wouldn't eat the one that is dried up. I wouldn't eat the one that is too sweet because sometimes when it get too sweet, it tastes kind of chemical. And I didn't like that. Artificially chemical. And there were so many mooncakes being gifted around the family or from friends and colleagues to my parents, um, friends or whoever. You know, people send this mooncakes like it's some kind of currency. They just go around, and it's really funny because there was this news coming out a couple of years ago. There was mooncake in a really good box that never got taken out. They were being sent around quite a lot because of the good packaging. The appearance was the selling point. It was so nice of a box. So people just keep sending them around. They don't really mind. They don't really bother like opening it up because they probably had enough mooncake lying around for them to eat. And this good boxing is, it's really perfect for gift giving. So they just be giving it around and it's being circling around. Nobody really know how long it has been circling. The most accurate like kind of estimate was like has been around for a couple of years, and when somebody finally decided to like, oh, that looks nice of a packaging, I'll open it up and I'll eat it. So somebody did that and they opened it up, and obviously it wasn't good anymore. I don't remember what was the problem. Was it mold? Was it some kind of infestation? I don't know. But obviously, the moment the guy who decided to open it up regretted his decision or her decision right off the bat. So, yeah, eat your mooncake. Do not keep it for like gift giving. But I remember we do get a lot of those, like quite a bunch. And you gotta eat it like not in a day or two, but a reasonably short amount of time because you don't keep fresh for very long. While with preservation additives being added in there, you can probably get it down. You can probably preserve it for a little bit longer nowadays. I'll say a couple weeks. Um, but still, like I remember there are times that after the mid Mid-Autumn Festival. After 中秋节, we just have to eat it. Like, it will become a daily routine to have some mooncake, otherwise it got gone bad. So let's say every lunch we'll have one, and every dinner after that we'll have like two as dessert, until like there is one point my dad is just like, nah, I refuse to eat this. I'd rather eat dog shit than eating this mooncake, even though the mooncake probably tastes better, but not anymore after so many days. So yeah, that was mooncake. Besides mooncake, people does dragon boat rowing competitions, which is also a thing. The reason why they call it dragon boat is because they kind of carve out the head of the boat to make it look like a dragon, I believe. I'm not the expert in it, but some pictures I saw. I never seen a dragon boat in real life, but I have seen it quite often on TV growing up. It can look like a dragon, and some people say the long boat. This boat is more like a kayak. It's more like the competition in Olympics. You know, the rowing team on this slim long boat where there's a lot of people kind of stand or sitting there, and they do it really quick and compete. Yeah, that kind of boat, right? It's super long and it fit a lot of people in there. So I guess you can say the shape kind of look like a dragon. But yeah, most people would preferably decorate the front part of it to make it actually look like a dragon. You carved out of wood, all of it, the entire boat, and you race it in water, I guess. And then whoever win the competition, whichever team win the competition, don't ask me. I mean, they probably get a bunch of mooncakes by the end of the competition. They probably do. I don't know. That's another thing some people do. I never raced a dragon boat, never touched a dragon boat, so I never participated in that aspect. But just like a bunch of other holidays in China, I guess it's mostly just an excuse to get together and eat and drink, to meet the family, have a good time, being silly, talk about things that you don't really have the chance to talk about after getting drunk. So that's kind of the thing that is observable in all Chinese traditional holiday. You just sit together and eat. Like, that's a big part of the culture, a big part of the holiday festival celebrating is just get together and have a table and eat and maybe play some board game later called mahjong in Chinese. It's complicated. I don't know how to play it, but let's call it indigenous Chinese poker game. Gambling. Yeah, you can totally gamble with that. You don't have to, but it happens. So this year is on today. Today is 21st of September 2021. So this year's Mid-Autumn Festival is going to be today. I called out my parents. They didn't do anything. My mom went out today with my dad in the afternoon to pick up some tea leaves from a private garden, or yeah, from a ranch. I don't know what it's called, like a place where tea are grown, right? They went to one of this farm where there was a lot of tea trees. They grow on trees, right? The tea leaves. They went there. It's close by to their place, so they went out there. And because this year's like harvesting season is officially over, that is because after a certain date on lunar calendar, people just stop collecting the leaves. But my mom figured 1 day or 2 days really wouldn't make a difference in the taste of the tea leaves, right? It would be a horrific waste of leaves and tea if you don't collect them and just let them like grow on the trees. So she went out there with my dad, and then they collected without authorization, which I questioned. I was like, Mom, I don't know if you should like trespass like that. Like, that's legally like That's illegal. Yeah, you can't just trespass and then collect other people's stuff and say that they don't want it, so why not? But they did it, and then they say nobody was there, nobody was guarding the farm, and there's nobody else like trespassing. So they collect a bunch of those, and then they're drying up at home. So later they will try how it tastes and let me know how it is. But that's their today's mid autumn festival celebration. I asked them if they're going to race a dragon boat. My dad laughed at me and asked if we have ever been to a dragon boat racing growing up. Fair point. We never been to one. We never, and to think of it, our family have never been big in celebrating anything. I have never celebrated my birthday. I celebrated once, and it was my own initiative when I was 7. I went out there with my own pocket money, which was like a little, under €1. I went to this little shop and I bought maybe 1 or 2 candles. Not even a cake, because I couldn't afford a cake under €1. I bought some candle that says 7. Came back home and I invited a family friend who lived on the next building, apartment building, and told them without my parents knowing this, hey, come over. We're gonna work. We're gonna have a birthday party for me. I'm 7. Yeah. So when the family showed up and they're like, oh, happy birthday. And my parents like, But they didn't say anything. They know what's up. It's quite easy to figure out because they do remember my birthday. And they saw me welcoming the Ming with a little candle in my hand. So they probably figured it out real quick. And we did have a celebration. My mom went out real quick and just said, we gotta pick up a cake. But that was the only time. I did get a cake, a little pink cake with cream that are color pink on top. I hate creams. I don't like cream. I always like chocolate cake, but that was the first time I ever got a cake for birthday. And after that, never again. And before that, never. We're just never really into celebrating. I never asked them why they don't do it. But I guess, if I have to guess, the kind of overarching argument here could be from my dad, for the person that he is. I guess he would say something like, it's because we need to value every day. We need to enjoy every day as if it's a blessing and not just focus on the artificial establishment of arbitrary celebration of certain dates. So that's what I would guess he would say. But I would never know. I never asked. So there's a ceremonial kind of celebration. Yeah, this kind of ceremonial stuff, we never do it. It's just never in the family tradition. Chinese New Year is an exception because you gotta do something with the family. Mid-Autumn Festival used to be kind of important, but I don't believe I don't think we took it too serious. At least in my memory, no. Chinese New Year was definitely. We would definitely go to my grandparents' place from my from my father's side, and we'll celebrate. We'll have like a few days off. That's like number 1 for us. Chinese New Year, the lunar New Year. On Qingming Festival. Don't know the translation for that. Qingming Festival it's for dead people. So you go and you clean up the tomb for your deceased one, your close one who passed away. That is an important one. We do it without fail every year. We go and to visit my grandpa from my mother's side, who passed away when I was 1 or 2. Real young, don't have any recollection of the dude. So we would go to his tombstone and then clean things up for him. And then like burn some paper money. Not real paper money, but like paper money for the deceased, like fun coupon for them to use in the underworld or in the heaven, wherever they are, in the afterlife, right? They take it very serious too. And I believe there's once or twice we missed it, and I got sick, and my mom be like, that's because we didn't go and burn the money for the deceased one. Those paper money, they are poor. That's why they're telling us they're poor. Because of us, they're suffering. That's why you're sick. So they would actually go out, buy some paper money from the store, some heaven money, some fun coupon for the deceased, and they'll burn it at crossroad. There's a little ritual around it, like you're supposed to draw a circle on the ground with a little opening towards the direction of the tomb or towards the west, a certain direction, I don't remember. And it has to be at a crossroad so the spirit can come and claim it. It's not like, you see, like that's, yeah. I'm not gonna laugh at it because there's certain like sentiment attached to it. I guess there's a sense to it too. Just from a purely aesthetic sense, I guess like at a crossroad it's just more convenient and visible and bold and flamboyant. I don't know. They don't do it at the corner. It has to be at a crossroad. Very considerate to the dead. So we'll burn the money, and then naturally I will get better because I hate to say this, but like I never had serious disease. It was probably just a cold. And get better, they'll be like, you see, Grandpa is not mad anymore. That's why you're getting better. So Qingming Festival, another thing for the dead. That's important one too. Besides this 2-1, I don't remember celebrating anything specific. Occasionally we'll do something. If there's a long holiday, for example, Labor Days, that's on May 1st. Somehow it was celebrated because there's a state holiday associated to that holiday. So for that, we will go out and do something, but it's really not for that date. It's not for Labor Day. We're not celebrating anything. But because there's a holiday, we'll go out, do something, but nothing specific. But yeah, not a very ritualistic, not a very ceremonial kind of family. I lingered on in my life. I'm very reluctant to celebrate anything with anybody. Caused quite a bit of a trouble for me in my personal life because I think this kind of ritual or celebration, occasional, meaningful, I don't know how do you call it, but this kind of like little gesture of goodwill, a little gesture of like I care about this. There's significance, assigning significance to a specific date and time. That is, I wouldn't say necessary, but that's a good gesture. That's a really good gesture, especially to somebody who take this kind of thing seriously. So, yeah, I guess I have learned from that. I'm trying to be doing more things in terms of celebrating specific dates and trying to remember birthday, trying to remember anniversaries and all that. Those are like something I constantly have to work on. Even though it sounds super easy, like just remember the date. It's easy for you to say. It's really easy to say that just remember the date, but the problem is not the date. The problem is I really don't care. It's a mentality thing. Like when somebody say Christmas, in your head, the thing is like there's a lot of sensory experience associated with it. I'm assuming you're not from China, okay? If you are, reason with me. I don't know what your experience is like. I'm pretty sure China is a big country. You might have a very different upbringing from mine. I don't know. Tell me. But if you were from Europe or somewhere in the North America, I would assume that traditionally you guys would have a lot of wintry events. Go out and buy like a pine tree, and those Christmas tree, they have a certain scent associated with it. So when you bring it, that's another sensory experience. The smell of the tree when you set it up, put decoration on it, and what do you eat? Turkey? That's Thanksgiving. What do you eat on Christmas? Like whatever you eat, right? There must be some kind of a Christmas dish, and you remember that smell of those specific dish. Maybe it's prepared by your mom or grandma or whatever. And then you drink over here in Estonia. At least I got to learn you drink this glurky drink. It's kind of like red wine but no alcohol. It's red and it has a little bit. Sometimes people put cinnamon in there. I'm a big fan of it. You don't sell it like they don't sell it here year around, but they come out like right around the corner when it's about to be Christmas, and they show up everywhere in all the stores, in all the groceries, and you can buy them easily, and they're not cheap. Call They're just in juice box, like 1 liter for €1 or something like that. I'll stock up a little bit, maybe 5 6 bottles, and they will last me a couple months after the Christmas because I don't see them around all that often after Christmas is ended. And I like it. It's a good drink. I first tried it, I believe, in Old Town in Tallinn, and on this Christmas market. They heat it up super warm when it's cold weather, and you have your scarf on and then little hat and all that heating protection, all that heat device, personal warmth device. And then you have this little drink that is just hot. It warms you up inside out. Very nice feeling. And I remember they also sell sausage and sauerkraut with this as a package, as a combo at the old town Christmas market. I never bought those. They didn't look that appetizing, and I don't get a sauerkraut being heated up. I like sauerkraut cold. That's just my preference. I never really have been a fan of it being hot. But yeah, coming back to what I was talking about, the celebration. You see, you have certain kind of food you eat on festival, smell associated to it, things you do. So when you think about Christmas, it's institutionalized, established in a realm of experience. First thing you think about is might not even be the date. It might be the good time you have with your family, and it's always on this date, right? You're used to it, and this has been branded in your head. There's a time mark on it. For me, that association doesn't exist. Like the understanding of time, the significance of time are not associated with happy or any particular exciting moments or memories or any kind of sensory experience. My growing up, my sensory experience has been dispersed. That have been like evened out into every day, and there's not this height, like something to look forward to. Like I hope I know what that feels. You know what I mean? Like when there's like all this myth and legend and the stories associated to Santa Claus and their helpers, the reindeer, the Grinch, whatever, like the fairies, and like you put up like a sock on the fireplace, and then Santa Claus come at night and put it inside. I imagine if I were a kid, would I feel excited about waking up and going up to the sock like that build up must be exciting. I'm guessing, right? That's what I'm guessing, because I don't know how that might actually feel for me, because I never experienced that intensity, that build up, that expectation for a certain day to come around. That's just simply not there. It's not like a reoccurring year to 1 year and another kind of experience. That never existed. So I'm just trying to figure out, because it seems like in movies at least, or the people I have talked to, uh, and they really they really have certain expectation for this date because they have learned to expect that. They learn to expect there's maybe when you're way younger, there's gotta be gifting the socks if you're a good girl or a good boy. And when it's like your tooth fall out and you put it under the pillow and there's a tooth fairy picking it up, like significance have timestamps. When some events happens and there's correlation to it, right? That correlation was not necessarily, I would say, non-existent in my life. I did have this kind of association of like when something happened and something happened to me too. But they're more individual based. They're not institutionalized. They're not nationwide. They're definitely not a constitution. They're definitely not associated with holidays. You know, if I get like naughty at school, I get beaten up. Okay, that's a that's a negative one. But let's say that's a positive one as well, just for a fair comparison. Let's say if I got like really good grade in school and I come back and I get a toy that I really want. But that's not a holiday because holiday is automation. Holiday is something shared amongst a community, amongst a collective of people, right? People who share similar values and people who believe in the same thing, similar things, at least in that particular aspect. But for me, it was more individualistic. So if I do something, there is consequence. You know, let it be good or bad. Uh, those are not holiday because they're individual. There's no timestamp on it. Whenever I get this done, I'll get something else. But it solely depends on me. Definitely not time. Definitely not a particular date of the year, right? But holiday is a different ball game. If you do celebrate holiday, if you do have this kind of annual events of celebration, some kind of automation of celebration that is either a holiday or let's brainstorm. What else is there? Or, automatically, graduation, right? You know when you gotta graduate. 3 years in high school, you graduate. 3 years, 4 years in college, you graduate. Those kind of things. Personal achievement, even though it's becoming more personal, it's still there's a timestamp to it because unless you're like horrible, unless you're missing tons of class or you're just not doing any schoolwork, you pretty much everybody graduate high school in 3 years. Pretty much everybody graduate in college in a couple of years, 3 or 4, right? But I never got that either, Graduation was never something that was considered worthy of celebrating. I think it's like just ingrained, like it's just been ingrained into my value system. Like, what's to be proud about graduating? I didn't do anything. I simply stayed. I simply stayed long enough to graduate. But something is worth celebrating. I'm sorry, got excited. Something is worth celebrating. That is if you have achieved high graduation achievement or some sort of distinguished graduation, cum laude, for example, a distinguished graduates, or you have been awarded the best graduate of the year, or you have scored high in the college entrance exam in China, whatever that might be. Again, it has nothing to do with me staying the time in school and just do my part. It's about how I have done my part, how I have done what I can do. If I'm just simply sharing this moment with a bunch of other people as a part of a community, as a part of a batch, that's not worth celebrating. In a holiday setting, graduation setting, not worth it. And I think that kind of a mentality permeated into other aspects. Like I'm not a big fan. Maybe I'm a little bit different now, but I wasn't a big fan of live event, any sort of live event with people performing on stage and me standing down there. Hard to like really recollect because now I do enjoy going to events more and more, especially if it's the kind of events I like, outdoor events with activities that I can interact with. Food festival, for example. Went to this one music festival in Salama in midsummer day this year. That was really nice. But before that, I didn't really feel like holiday. I didn't really feel live events all that much either. I don't get it. Um, the this sentiment was fairly similar to what has been stirring me to feel about like the holidays and graduation. It's a similar thing. It's just why would I enjoy something just for being there? Just consume it with a bunch of other guys in the audience and see someone or a band performing on stage. Them being the highlight, and we're just sitting there and kind of getting the treatment, kind of getting sucking the joy, and it's not even just for you, it's for a bunch of people, and we're just one of many. I didn't know why, but I guess it's similar to the festival thing, to holiday, that collectivity, that sense of like being a part of many didn't appeal to me all that much. I didn't feel like I could totally enjoy, even though I really never went to a live event until recently. By recently, I mean this year and last year. Before that, I never even went to many live events at all. Because I just didn't know how to have fun in a group, you know? If I can't do something to interact, if I can't do something directly to participate, I find it very hard for me to have a good time. Movie being an exception. Don't know why. I do enjoy movie and I do enjoy going to the movie theater a lot. Is it because of the anonymity of the dark room? You don't see the other audience, so it feels like the entire place is just for you? I don't know. It could be that, It's a more intimate, personal kind of a thing. And it could be that. So like I'm if I have to guess, like now what changed um after having this, shift of enjoyment, that I get to enjoy more, events and collectivity. It's a value shift, It's something that's deeper. I feel like maybe it's because I don't I don't necessarily agree that, I have to achieve. I have to just be interacting. I gotta participate. Gotta do my best. Like maybe it's okay to just like listen sometime, go to the concert and just like be out there and listen, Just there's no need to stand out. There's no need to actively contribute, you know. I don't know. It's changing, but very slowly. Very slowly. I think uh, I still need to think about like I still need to have a clear understanding. I still have to make a conscious effort to think, do I want to do this? Do I want to celebrate this holiday? Or is it really worth my time? Because when you celebrate certain things, for example, if there's an event going on, the first thing that comes to my head is it's got to be a bunch of other guys there. There's got to be a bunch of other people there. And is the significance of that event outweigh the challenge, outweigh the discomfort created by you just being one of the many? That's again, that's one of the many things uh, that I can think of. Is just like a culture difference. I know it sounds bizarre that something this tiny, you can call it as culture. But yeah, I think that's culture difference for me. Like the way how I think is intrinsically different from my peers, or at least like people I get to interact a lot here in Estonia. It's very individualistic too, you know. A lot of Chinese people I met in town, a lot of Asian kids that I met in Japan, they don't share the same value like I do. They have their own culture. Yeah, like they don't. A lot of them enjoy going to concert. A lot of them enjoying doing things in public. This is a very personal culture to me, and that is, largely because of my parents, I guess. Like, I'm not blaming them. I'm I'm like this, and after living 10 years by myself, without them around, without living with them on a daily basis, after 10 years of doing that on my own, I'm still feeling their presence. It's 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 peeling away, kind of like a potato. It's peeling away. The outer layers are drying up. The flakes are coming off. You know what? It's not a potato. It's one of those Sioux style mooncake. The kind of like covering that my parents have kind of taught me, the education and the day-to-day influence they have on me, they're flaking off. They're coming off, and then there's an identity born from that. It's not a new form of it. It's the same thing, but it's taking different shapes. Yeah, I miss my parents for sure. I did wish them a happy Mid Autumn Festival today, and they didn't say much. It's just like they always like, thank you, because they really don't celebrate it.